Few stories will stick with you more than Brandon Guffey's. He's a South Carolina state representative whose son Gavin died by suicide in 2022. He had been blackmailed with intimate photos of himself. Those messages came in through social media, and the grieving father has been on a mission to bring change.
I think this is the biggest cancer that we have on our society, and if we don't step up and do something, I don't know what's going to be left of our society.
I consider them as big tobacco. They're aware of the harmful effects. They have the tools in place. They could make the changes, and instead of doing what's right, they're trying to hide it.
Now, the big social media companies say they've instituted some more guardrails for kids. They've also faced lawsuits and threats of legislative changes. But nothing has come close to what they are considering in Australia.
And this one's for the mums and dads. Social media is doing harm to our kids, and I'm calling time on it. I've spoken to thousands of parents, grandparents, aunties and uncles. They, like me, are worried sick about the safety of our kids online. And I want Australian parents and families to know that the government has your back.
That right there is the Australian Prime Minister. He is sending legislation to that nation's parliament that would ban all social media for kids under the age of 16. No exemptions. Not even for those who have parental consent.
The onus will be on social media platforms to demonstrate they are taking reasonable steps to prevent access. The onus won't be on parents or young people. There will be no penalties for users.
Pediatric psychologists say kids under 16 should be kept away from social media. That's their recommendation. They say they lack the judgment and sense of self to manage social media without ill effects. Now, if the Australian Parliament passes that measure, it would be one of the most stringent in the world. And as mentioned, it goes far beyond anything being talked about here. Right now, one of the big things being considered in the U.S. is a U.S. Surgeon General mental health warning on all algorithm-driven social media platforms. Dozens of state attorneys general have signed a letter asking lawmakers to pass legislation mandating it, including those in both Carolinas. Our consumer investigator, Carice Jackman, spoke to AGs from both political parties and has some ideas on how you can protect your children when they're online.
It's important we make sure that kids are aware of these issues.
42 state attorneys general from across the U.S. have written to Congress urging action on algorithm-driven social media platforms, which they say have caused generational harm to young people's mental health.
We're talking about our youth. Oftentimes, a youth who don't have the ability to speak up for themselves.
And the different AGs disagree about a lot of things. It's okay, but when everybody does come together, it makes a powerful statement that it must be a really important issue.
Tennessee Attorney General Jonathan Skrmetti, a Republican, and Nevada Attorney General Aaron Ford, a Democrat, both agree protecting children and consumers is a major priority for AGs nationwide. In the letter, the attorneys general urged Congress to pass legislation requiring a U.S. Surgeon General warning on algorithm-driven social media platforms, citing research linking them to psychological harm in young people.
General Ford, what are some of the negative impacts that social media algorithms can have on our youth?
Consequences include an increased risk of depression and anxiety. Sometimes this harms the body image, up to and including eating disorders, lack of sleep, and higher obesity rates. And so those types of things are at the forefront of our minds when we as attorneys general come together to work to protect our youth.
Last year, more than 30 attorneys general filed lawsuits accusing Meta of, quote, using manipulative product features designed to push young users' engagement to dangerous levels. Still, the letter says federal action is required.
It's got to be something put in place so that everyone who uses it, or every parent who looks at what their kid is using, appreciates that there is a danger of using these platforms in a way that hurts kids. There have to be limits. There are parental controls in a lot of these platforms.
As for tips and recommendations for consumers, General Ford and Skrmetti say parents should continue monitoring what their children are doing online.
Be engaged, be careful, ask questions, be inquisitive. Don't let, the old adage of a kid comes home from school and you say, how was your day? Let's say fine. That's not sufficient. We need to talk about what are they doing on social media? Who are they meeting? Who are their friends? Get nosy, so to speak, and get engaged. And I think that's one of the ways that we can continue to protect our children.
Yeah, some important reminders. Carice Jackman reporting for us. Now, our investigative team did reach out to the major social media companies for comment and have not heard back. Coming up next here.